Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brushes and Bunnies, and today we are doing a watercolor painting, or actually two watercolor paintings. This was done for Mother's Day for my mother-in-law. She has a huge garden of flowers, so it didn't really make sense to gift her flowers for Mother's Day. Instead, I decided to paint some watercolor portraits of lilacs. She has a ton of purple and white lilacs outside of her home, so I thought this would be a good idea to do. They're not the best, they didn't turn out as good as I wanted to, but I think they're still quite nice, and I did put a lot of effort into it. So I wanted to record the project and show you guys exactly the materials that I used and how you can make a relatively cheap Mother's Day gift. The very first thing is, of course, the paper. I use postcard paper, which is really nice because it's a bit thicker. You can get quite small sizes, so rather than getting a regular watercolor paper and cutting it down to fit a smaller frame, you can get Postkartenblock, as they say in German. You can get postcard paper at your local art store. This is size A6 and it's quite nice. It is also cold pressed, which means that the paper is non-textured. It doesn't have a textured sort of feel to it, and the paint glides on it, and it's much more vibrant, as you can see as well. I got postcard paper. This cost approximately €5 at my art store, and it includes 40 pages. The next thing you want to get is, of course, frames. Now, this is up to you how much you're willing to spend. I got these little frames here. They are 9 by 13 centimeters. They are made out of wood, but they've got a silver finish that makes them look a little bit metallic. And the silver finish, I don't think you can really see, it looks a little bit reddish purple, which does match the lilacs that I painted. So it did turn out really nice. And these one are approximately €8, I think, €8 or €10 each. Now, it's really up to you how much you want to spend. There are some cheaper wooden frames you can get at the art store for sometimes €3 even, like the cheapest ones. For mothers, you want to go a little bit more expensive. The next thing you want to get, or if you already have, are paintbrushes. So I've got 3 different types that I used for these paintings. I used one of my recently new ones, which is a much thicker, which holds a lot of water actually in the actual bristles, and it has a pointed edge, which works really nice when you're getting into like the details of the flowers. So I used this one. And I also used 2 smaller ones for details. So we have a very small fine tipped one here, which works really well if you want to add maybe some outline for the flower petals. And I also have a smaller, thicker one, which works also really nice to add detail. And the next thing you want to do is you want to get some paint. So if you already have paint, that is awesome. But for the watercolor paints, I use 2 different brands. I use Schminke, which is a beautiful German brand. I really like the quality of these paints. And I had the little ones, like the little, I think they're like half size ones, I'm not so sure here. Half size ones compared to the larger ones. So I've got Schminke, and I also have Winsor & Newton. So Winsor & Newton is also a wonderful brand for watercolor. Depending on the size, depending on the color, you can pay different prices for the watercolors. For the little ones, maybe like €2 per color, depends on the color, of course. And for the larger ones, it would be like double the price. So like maybe €3–4. Of course, depending on the color, it could range between €2 up to 12, €15 sometimes. So it really depends on the color. So now that we've talked about the materials that I've used, we're going to get into the speed painting process, and I have 2 video clips side by side to show you both paintings that I drew. Initially, I wanted to do 3 of them, but I just ended up doing 2 because it was very time consuming. I wanted to get back to watercolor a little bit. I've been missing it, and I thought I would do this for the Mother's Day gift, and I thought it would turn out quite nice, but in fact I'm really not happy with how they turned out. I thought I would have been a little bit better, but I guess I'm totally out of touch with the watercolor painting process, so I need to practice a little bit more with that, but nonetheless I think that they did turn out okay. For both paintings, I did do 2 different techniques. The very first one on the left-hand side, you can see I started off with a wet paper technique where you apply water onto the paper and then you add the color. So I use this a lot for the background and also for the flowers themselves. And for the second one on the right-hand side, I basically just painted on dry paper. So I would wet my brush with watercolor paint and water, and I would apply it on the dry paper rather than wet the paper beforehand. Both of them achieve different techniques, and you can play around with both techniques together in one, but I did divide it up to see how I could achieve a different result and see how I could basically work with the highlights and the shadows in this regards. Overall, this one was quite challenging just because of the complexity of what I was drawing and painting, and getting the shadows and the sort of curves and the twists and turns right was a little bit hard with the water, and this is always a challenge with watercolors, just to try to get it a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit more realistic looking. It's very easy to have a kind of abstract or cartoonish look when you're painting with watercolor, and realism is a bit challenging to achieve if you're not using anything else but watercolor. I did touch upon using a little bit of my polychromos in the second piece, I believe. Or I think I did it for both. I actually can't remember. It was a couple days that I filmed this. But I did use it for a little bit of the details in the flowers. But overall, most of it was pretty much just watercolor. Anyways, guys, I would also like to just do an update separate from this actual painting. It's sort of a life update. I know I haven't posted in a couple weeks and I feel super guilty and horrible about it. I've been going through kind of a challenging time in my life where I have a lot of stress and deadlines at work that I have to accomplish, and due to that my energy levels are just not that high where I can keep up with my YouTube stuff and my live streaming stuff. So I've been really struggling to kind of balance it, but at this point I think my health is more important, where I just need to kind of just chill and relax and play some games and just kind of be a little bit lazy, because I can't really I can't really handle pressure that well in these situations. But luckily, or not so luckily, I don't even know what to consider, this sort of stress and pressure or these deadlines will end about mid-July, and mid-July until the rest of the summer I will have so much more time to do everything that I want to do on this YouTube channel and to kickstart my live streaming once more. I know it's been a while and I'm really looking forward to doing it, but I will have hopefully a very long vacation, which means I can dedicate all my time to this and to really pump out some really cool videos for you. So I'm very excited for that, and also coming in fall, I will hopefully have a lot more time. There's a lot of exciting things happening where I will be able to just dedicate myself to art full-time. So I'm quite excited for that, and I think it's just this period in time where I just need to chill and focus on my work that's, you know, my full-time work on the side. And but I think in the meantime I will just be doing one video a week, and then occasional live streams on the weekends, and then I will get back to my 3 weekly videos once I have more time in July. Nevertheless, I'd like to wish you guys all a wonderful day. As always, do follow my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe. I am doing a giveaway at 20,000 subscribers, which is very, very soon. I am 200 subscribers away from 20,000, and I'm very excited to announce the giveaway, so do subscribe and stay tuned for that. And apart from that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye!